In the quiet depths of the Andromeda Galaxy, a faint silver streak shimmered across the vacuum of space, faster than light, more elegant than sound, more powerful than any known cosmic signature. The Silver Surfer, once the noble Norinrad of Zenla, now soared as a luminous sentinel through the galaxies. Though long freed from the service of Galactus, the echo of his past still clung to his spirit like shadows on starlight. He had spent millennia seeking redemption, protecting the innocent, warning of threats that spanned universes, and silently atoning for the worlds he once helped destroy. But this time the warning came too late. In the far reaches of the Milky Way, on a forsaken and scorched planet known only to the old gods as Tebneket, an ancient sarcophagus cracked open after 10,000 years of dormancy. The soil, cursed and scorched from the ancient days of celestial manipulation, trembled as something rose from its crypt of silence. The being within had once walked among early humanity, reshaping their destiny through pain, power, and war. They called him many names, and Sabah knew. The first one, the Lord of Evolution, the end and the beginning. But to the stars, he was known by one name, Apocalypse. His awakening was no accident. A cosmic anomaly, the merging of multiple timelines, had reverberated through the fabric of space. Tearing at the seams of reality, dormant energies had bled into the cracks, and Apocalypse, sensing the distortion, had awoken early. His mission was clear, to rise once more and reshape the future of all species, not just humanity, but the entire cosmic order. No longer was Earth his sole domain. The stars now whispered his name in fear. For centuries, Apocalypse had studied the legends of the Celestials, the Phoenix Force, the Beyonders, and Galactus himself. He understood the hierarchy of cosmic power, and now he intended to climb it. He sought to ascend beyond the evolutionary chains that bound even the gods. He had unlocked a new mutation, a fusion of celestial tech and psionic force, enabling him to feed on entropy itself. He would travel from galaxy to galaxy, not just conquering worlds, but purifying them. His creed was unchanged, only the strongest survive. And now the universe would kneel. But before his grand conquest could begin, a presence approached him like a star being born in motion. The Silver Surfer had detected the anomaly from across the galaxy. The same surge that awoke Apocalypse had trembled across the power cosmic, alerting all who were attuned to the fabric of space. Initially, Surfer assumed it to be another planetary crisis, perhaps a celestial remnant activating or a failed experiment by the Shi'ar. But as he drew nearer, he saw the ruins of Tebneket rise into great citadels of black stone and living metal. Apocalypse had rebuilt an empire in days. Entire planets near Tebneket began to fall silent. He descended upon the ruined world and was greeted not with hostility, but with cold indifference. Apocalypse stood tall amidst his obsidian citadel, his eyes glowing with ancient knowledge and new power. You were once a Herald, Surfer. You know what it means to announce the coming of a higher power. Consider this your second calling. Surfer's silver eyes narrowed, his board hovering with grace and readiness. I have seen tyrants. I have served one. I will not allow another to rise. You misunderstand, Apocalypse replied. This is not tyranny. This is destiny. The universe decays. Stars die. Civilizations crumble under their own frailty. I offer salvation through strength. You could be at my side. You touched by the power cosmic, you are worthy. But Surfer refused. Strength without mercy is not evolution. It is extinction, he said. And I will not stand idle while you desecrate life for the sake of your arrogance. And Sabah's calm demeanor broke for a brief instant. Then you will fall alongside the weak. In the days that followed, Apocalypse unleashed his acolytes, cosmically enhanced lieutenants, genetically engineered mutants from a dozen alien races, each one imbued with fragments of his entropy core. They called themselves the Neo-Survivors. Silver Surfer repelled them all. Every time they clashed, the stars flared in response. Solar systems trembled. Asteroids burned as cosmic power met ancient technology. But Surfer knew this was only delaying the inevitable. Apocalypse was not like Galactus, who consumed out of necessity. Apocalypse conquered out of ideology. He was a mind as sharp as any celestial force, and his growing entropy core had begun to tear open the balance of the universe. If left unchecked, he would tip the scale and collapse the boundaries between galaxies. The laws of natural selection he preached would become an eternal war. One final confrontation was inevitable. Surfer reached out to the Watchers. Batu, ever silent, only gazed back. He saw it too. Apocalypse's entropy core had mutated beyond anything known, even to their ancient eyes. If left to grow, it would become a singularity, a paradox in the heart of time. And so it was decided. The Surfer, once a servant of destruction, now stood as the universe's last hope of preservation. He meditated at the edge of a white dwarf, communing with the remnants of the power cosmic, letting the stars themselves infuse his being with purpose. Then, with a final surge of light, he turned toward Tebneket, where Apocalypse stood, waiting atop a throne that now floated in orbit, drawing planets into its gravitational field. Their destinies, written across eons, now converged in the silence before the storm. The sky above Tebneket cracked like shattering glass. Ripples of silver light burst across the stars as the Silver Surfer descended, his body blazing with concentrated power cosmic, his eyes locked on the floating citadel that now functioned as both throne and weapon. Apocalypse waited, cloaked in shimmering black, armor laced with glowing crimson, an armor forged from dying neutron stars and enhanced by the entropy core pulsing at his chest like a second heart. They hovered in space, surrounded by the wreckage of moons, the husks of defeated vessels, and fragments of time itself. Neither spoke. This was no longer about words. It was now a trial of ideologies, a final judgment. Surfer raised a hand and his board flared, summoning a tidal wave of stellar energy from the surrounding debris field. Bolts of cosmic light lanced toward Apocalypse, each one capable of annihilating a planet. But Apocalypse merely raised one hand and caught the energy. His entropy core pulsed violently, absorbing the blast like a sponge to flame. "The universe decays," he growled. "I am merely hastening what you delay." And then he struck. A wave of black-red energy exploded from Apocalypse's palm, tearing through space and time like a scream of death. Surfer spun, his board weaving between dimensions, phasing in and out of reality to avoid the worst of the blast. But the shockwave still hit him, ripping into his molecular structure, distorting his shape. He recoiled, only for Apocalypse to appear before him in an instant, teleporting through a wormhole created by his entropy core. With the strength of 1,000,000 suns, he slammed his fist into Surfer's chest, sending him crashing into the surface of a nearby moon, which cracked and broke apart. The Surfer emerged from the dust, blood dripping from a corner of his mouth, rare for someone nearly indestructible. "You are not invincible," Apocalypse observed. "No," the Surfer said as he rose again, "but I am not alone." He raised his hand, and from the distance the very stars responded. He summoned the power of dying suns, the memory of every life form he'd ever failed to save, every scream he'd ever heard in the void. It all channeled into him now. A storm of power cosmic roared to life around him, turning his silver form into something divine. No longer a herald, but a reckoning. Apocalypse hurled entire chunks of time-locked asteroids, twisted weapons from ancient civilizations, and raw entropy itself. Surfer responded with pure balance, converting matter to energy, unraveling entropy into creation, countering every strike with elegance and will. The battlefield extended across galaxies. Planets shuddered in fear. The citadel of Apocalypse broke apart, drawn into a black hole that was never meant to exist. At last, the final moment came. Apocalypse surged forward, merging fully with the entropy core, a monstrous transformation. His body grew, warping into a cosmic god-beast of shadow and red light, tentacles of energy trailing behind him like wings of death. He struck with the fury of a collapsing multiverse, but Surfer did not run. He hovered before the blast, hands open. I once served destruction. I now stand for life. And you and Sabah will not decide its fate. He became a singularity of light, channeling the full weight of the power cosmic into a spear of blinding energy. As Apocalypse's entropy wave crashed toward him, the surfer surged forward, piercing through the blast and into Apocalypse's heart. There was no explosion. There was silence. And then the entropy core cracked, splintering, with a cry so deep it reached the dreams of sleeping galaxies. Apocalypse fell to his knees, the core within him collapsing into itself. His body shrank, reverting to its original form, face etched with disbelief. You cannot destroy evolution, he gasped. No, said the surfer. But evolution without mercy is not life. It is extinction. And then, with one final surge, the surfer released a pulse of healing cosmic light, not to kill Apocalypse, but to purge the entropy from his being. The core shattered completely, scattering across the void like dying embers. Apocalypse collapsed, defeated, stripped of his godhood, not dead but mortal. For the first time in eons, the Silver Surfer stood silently above the shattered remains of the battlefield. The stars had returned to peace. The ripple of entropy was gone. He looked down at Apocalypse, now unconscious, drifting amid the debris of his ambition. Justice had been served, not through annihilation, but through balance. The Herald had spoken.